Good afternoon once again. A formal welcome to today's roundtable on why you must reimagine your cloud strategy now, being organized in partnership with VMware and Sify. Uh, My sincerest thanks for taking time off to join this discussion. I am Shamanuja Das, Editorial Director of B2B Publications at 9.9 Group, and your moderator for the session. One housekeeping announcement before we move to the agenda. I'll request you to keep your video switched on if possible and mute yourself if you are in a noisy environment, except when you are speaking. The topic is something I think you all can very well identify with. The pandemic had changed our lives and business forever. It made organizations realize the value that IT and digitization, in particular cloud, can bring in, the kind of value that it can bring into the organization business, but it also created huge expectations from technology, not all of which may be realistic in the long run, but we'll get into that. We cannot go back to the pre-pandemic period, which in less than 2 years seems like a very, very distant past. At the same time, we cannot continue to have the knee-jerk tactical reactions that we were forced to have in the beginning of the pandemic. We need a fresh strategic approach for the long term, and that is what we will discuss today. To discuss, we have amongst us a distinguished panel. Let me read out the names before we get into the discussion. They are alphabetically Mr. Bijendra Kumar Mishra, CISO and General Manager, Alchem Laboratories. Mr. Dhyanesh Chaudhary, Vice President, Head Information Systems Audit, Axis Bank. Mr. Hetal Preswala, CISO, Kalpataru Group. Mr. Rajesh Sethi, Associate Vice President, Technology, Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance Company. Mr. Sanjay Menon, VP, IT and IS, SDFC Bank. And two more, not yet joined. We expect Mr. Suresh San, Head Digital Innovation and Future Technology, Mahindra Finance, and Mr. V. Subramaniam, VP, IT and Digital Solution at JSW Steel. From our partners, VMware and Sify, we have with us Mr. Andy Karandikar, Senior Director, Cloud Solution Architecture, APAC for VMware. Mr. Jitendra Durairajan, Head Cloud Engineering and Solutions, Sify Technologies. Mr. Tirthankar Mitra, Regional CEO, West, Sify Technologies. I'll take no more time. I think we are ready for the discussion. But before that, let me request Mr. Jitendra Durairajan, Head Cloud Engineering and Solutions at Sify Technologies, to set the tone by presenting his small presentation, which is, he is a technology advisor and transformation leader responsible for executing technology roadmaps to meet the company's business strategy, roadmap, and goal. Over to you, Jiten.
Thanks, Das. Good evening to all the leaders. I take the privilege to launch Sify's multi-cloud management. See, before pandemic, we have a lot of decision to take, whether should we go to cloud or should we reside here? How is my data secured? There are a lot of the ambiguity questions, right? There are a couple of customers who are adaptive. There are customers who are a little bit of hesitant to take the call. And this pandemic make us more than option to a choice. Choice in sense that which cloud I can able to go. Should I go to one cloud? Should I go to multiple cloud? That kind of the flexibility what we see. And that also gives a lot of strategy initiative for the Sify standpoint. We see people adapting to those clouds, finding it difficult to be familiarized in terms of navigation of those consoles of the specific clouds and how to orchestrate kind of a stuff, right? And we see there's a Gartner predictions, what we can see that it will be like 81% will be like cloud adaptive and 50% is more like a hybrid in cloud nature, because we know every workload it's not cloud adaptive as well. Depends on the vertical, right? If the banking, their core applications is built with AX kind of a platform, which is non-cloud adaptive. Couple of healthcare vertical where it required closest to the scanners and those things, they required a smaller footprint to be hosted, right? So we that's the prediction from Gartner, and we as a strategy came across to deploy a multi-cloud management platform tool to support for various customer, easy of operation, easy of visibility, easy of cost, and those things, right? So if you look at the another privilege what Sify carries, right? If you name most of the hyperscale provider who is a top brand, we see the logos, right? They are sharing real estate space. They are hosted with Sify from the different cities of data center. We cannot disclose which city data center, but that gives us a larger more privilege for us to any customer who are mandated to be in a hybrid in nature. They can able to connect, bring their asset to our data center and get connect to a cloud connect. It can be direct connect, fast connect, or express, or whatever the connect, right? We can able to give them a 1 millisecond latency, so their core application can run on co-hosted with Sify, and then the other workloads which are cloud adaptive can able to move to the cloud. And we have a very good use case and customer reference with this subject. It also can able to leverage Sify's own cloud, which is running out of Bangalore and Airoli data center of Mumbai. We have a various clouds, right? General purpose cloud, or SAP cloud, or CPU memory intensive cloud. You call, right? So the various clouds what we also hosted. It also gives the leverage other than the colo space and those things. So coming to the multi-cloud management standpoint, we see this multi-cloud is became a mandate for us when we going to host various application on the various clouds, right? And for the reason, right, for mailing solutions, probably we may use the O365 in the Azure cloud, or for data lake, or for any other analytical platform. We have both the choice whether it can go to Azure or GCP or AWS cloud. It's up to which application is hosted to which data center. The analytical platform should also be co-hosted so that your data injects and egress can able to avoid, right? We treat this as a provider irrespective of any cloud, whether it is AWS or VMware or AWS, Azure or Oracle or GCP. Similarly, Sify Cloud, we give a multi-tenant cloud, and we also give a private cloud, depends on the customer business need. Sify Cloud is precisely powered by VMware, right? The end-to-end orchestration, we have a very long association with VMware. It is close to 15 years now. We started our journey with a VMware as cloud, and still we exist as a VMware cloud because we know most of the business enterprise applications is well proven, well tested in VMware. So we stick to the VMware completely, and our journey will continue to do. We have a lot of milestones come across. We have very good reference for the larger scale deployments on the VMware, end-to-end VMware stacks. So that's the Sify Cloud runs, and we can able to orchestrate the various clouds as well. And it will become a one single window for you. Either it is ITSM for your request, event monitoring, whatever. And similarly for cloud management, whether it is a provisioning or orchestration, configuration, billing and chargeback, and the capacity, cost management are known as the core aspects for any cloud adoptions. We know it is like a metered billing. It will up and down, depends on your consumption. So the governance is very, very crucial for the cost management standpoint. It is all tightly integrated. It's an independent engine irrespective of what cloud we're going to operate and use. This is something we have launched recently. I take the privilege to announce that in the leadership forum, give you visibility. And the various user, it can be a CXO user or any user of that cloud. And if there is a DevOps user who want to do an API-based interactions with our cloud, they can pretty much do across our cloud landscape and multi-cloud management portal standpoint. And of course, the cloud administrators are those who wanted to do a provisioning and then basic administration management standpoint. Not to take much of time, I have 2 more slides just to quickly wrap up to continue with our discussion. We came with like 4 petals now. One is our multi-cloud management landscape, private cloud and public cloud. And this is coming on the coming year, which is called a remote edge. If you're familiar with the Azure Stack or the AWS Outpost or GCP, Sify is also coming with a smaller part of the cloud footprint. It can be start from 1 node to 64 node. It can able to deploy it closest to your application where it required a low latency, deployed, and it's centralized to manage. So if you even you have all 4 cloud, it has one single Sify CMP can able to orchestrate, manage, and give you the governance. So this is the high-level dashboard which I wanted to show. These all the clouds, all the resources, what kind of the compute resources, RAM, and what kind of the instance, and who are the providers. which region they are hosted. You will have a complete visibility. If you go to any of the hyperscale cloud, though you have a multiple account within your organization, you have to log into the different consoles to manage your resources. So all those things can be nailed down for single console. You can able to take a control completely and deploy. And we comes with a default blueprint for any of your deployment procedure. Like a click of button, it can be deploy. And similarly, you wanted to deprovision those resources, also you can able to do it, and you can able to customize further your blueprint as well. For an example, you wanted to create a VPN tunnel between AWS and GCP. You can able to deploy that out of the blueprint. If you have a basic testing environment like 5 to 6 VMs or a tier 1, tier 3 kind of an architecture you want to deploy, the blueprint can able to allow you to do it in a single click to go and deploy all the landscapes. That's the power of the CMP, which can able to bring you easy of operation and easy of the cost governance, easy of your complete end-to-end orchestration, right? We've been in this space for quite long. Infrastructure asset-led services, which we talk about, the cloud advisory, deployment of private cloud, all those things. We are moving around asset-neutral digital transformation. We know more and more the applications are moving towards the DevOps kind of practice of containers, platform, and CI/CD pipeline, those things. So we have a very good reference case, hybrid in content nature. There, ECS as a cloud native in AWS container can have a DR in Sify Cloud. Sify Cloud can be, you have 3 privilege. One is OKD, or it is OpenShift, or it can able to Tanzu. So you can able to cross leverage this container image to deploy in a DR, vice versa. Either way, anyone can be DC and another can be in a DR. So we have a strong orchestration engine where I can able to cross leverage between the hyperscale cloud. That's the message, or that's the privilege I wanted to announce our CMP part of this leadership forum. Thanks for your patience and hearing to me, and part of the roundtable I can able to answer for a couple of queries if you have specific to our CMP as well. Thanks, Das. Over to you.
Thank you, Jitu, for your presentation and keeping it very short and sweet. It is time to move to the discussion. Since we have limited time, I'll request each panelist to keep your initial remark to 2.5 minutes, so that we can come for a second round and have some open discussions after that. So let me start with a broad question, and it is for Vijender. And it is a very broad question. As we settle down for the post-pandemic new normal, in your business, what are the new business challenges and opportunities? Because your business is one business which was impacted both positively, negatively, and how these new business challenges and opportunities that you have impact your technology strategy, technology strategy in general, and your cloud plans in particular.
So thank you very much for this question. So being from a pharma, I mean, we have faced multiple challenges during this pandemic. Yeah. So one side, we had to secure our landscape. You have seen multiple, breaches happened, and pharma was the most vulnerable during this pandemic. Yeah. Multiple, cyber attacks has happened during this pandemic. You see, last 2 years. So I mean, we had challenge to overall secure our IT landscape. So that was the challenge we had, and also we had challenge to ensure that we have business continuity, because our products were really in high in demand, and we wanted to ensure that we have business continuity. Our plants must be working 24/7 to fulfill all the requirements, and at the same time we had challenge to secure our landscape. So these two challenges, I mean, we had to rethink on our strategy, because we never expected that we have to pass through this storm what we have seen during this pandemic. Yeah. So I mean, we had to rethink on our strategy. We had to adopt new technologies, new tools. We had to enforce multiple controls, and while doing that, we broadly ensure that we have business continuity. Our landscape is broadly secure, and we have all best practices to ensure that we are fulfilling the market demand also. So broadly, what we had to do, that we had to rethink on our IT strategy. So that was very important for us. And then thanks God that we had a good support from our management also, and we redefined our strategy, and broadly we were on the right track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll come back to specific questions later, but I think it was a good opener. And so then let me turn to Sanjay. Sanjay, you are there, right? Is it Sanjay Menon?
Yes, I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. See, we were having a similar discussion a couple of days back. See, one of the since you come from a bank and the uh, IT is a little more mature. Uh, See, one of the other big dilemmas that we keep hearing is, for your application, whether to lift and shift and then modernize the app or modernize and then move to the cloud, public cloud, in a very consumer-driven, competitive, yet highly regulated business. How
Right.
do you take that call? So, what are the typical considerations? What are the typical conversations? And what are the typical challenges?
So first, this is Sanjay Menon. I'm from HDFC Bank. I am from the systems audit team. Okay, so I'm from the audit team. So actually, I do not directly front end. Actually, my team from my team, we don't directly front end the vendors, etc. But we are a part of those pod calls, etc., which during the cloud when the cloud discussions takes place, because we being from the audit department, we are being consulted. Just as you told, considering the regulatory implications that are in place. So actually, if you tell maybe pre-pandemic, the cloud was still very means. If you tell the financial regulator, because of the RBI regulations, we were not very ready for the cloud. But now after the pandemic, because of the lot of digitization that's happening, there's a lot of digitization and there's a lot of requirement of agility, as a result of which our bank is also started embarking on the cloud. But it is on a very nascent stage, because we are also still trying to test the waters. It is not going to be key, I immediately migrate my core banking application and my credit card applications onto that. No, that is not good. That is not going to happen. It'll be just because we are again just reiterating that we are being again regulated by RBI. RBI is being very careful. Our data is where our data is moving around, whether we have a control over the data or not. And then we are also still again just reiterating, testing the waters. What happens? How is the data going to work? So we are just embarked on the cloud, and we are moving we are trying to move certain applications on the cloud. And we are again just doing a proof of doing testing. We are doing a test. We are currently doing a testing. That's how where we stand. It's not completely. We have not moved to cloud. So though maybe I think your fourth point is on hybrid cloud. Then we will discuss that. So that is how it is. It's just in very nascent stage, considering the banking sector.
Okay, thank you. So let me turn to the other gentleman from banking. Danesh, you are there, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So see, of course, banking is a highly regulated, and as pointed out, your data residency to data privacy to all periodic audits, all those things have to be done according. You have to conform to that. So many banks, as you said, keep their core banking and, in fact, even sometimes lending on premise and move other things to the cloud. But because of competitive pressure, now you have to work with partners like fintechs and all. So you have to manage all that. So your cloud, if you keep something on public cloud, private cloud is one thing where we see a lot of banks getting seriously into that. So what are the typical challenges in terms of planning, balancing, rebalancing, and the entire journey, and what are the challenges? And if you can talk about from your experience.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, from the banking perspective, as Mr. Sanjay has rightly pointed out, the limitations from the Indian banking perspective. Okay, and that to the established bank like Axis Bank or HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank. Okay, the bank like Axis Bank or HDFC. Okay, they have already invested in their own on-prem data centers or the applications with a Sify's own channel partners like VMware and so on and so forth, right? And obviously there is a very tight regulatory requirement from the RBI. Earlier, the acceptability and the assurance from the data confidentiality per se, okay, which was very less, okay. So even the culture like a work from home, okay, for the various activities was not being tried by the banking industry itself, okay. However, during the pandemic, okay, everything was got changed, a 360-degree change which we got, right? So because of that, the consumers have moved dramatically towards the online. So obviously, some of the channels which we are anyway on the internet banking or something like that, okay, but we cannot able to directly scale them into the cloud environment, okay. So during this, we do have done the proof of concepts with the private cloud providers or the hybrid cloud providers, how we can able to scale up our existing applications, and parallelly whether we can move some of the non-critical applications, okay, which is like a intranet applications, so that we can also get a gist of the availability and the security concerns over them, right, and to adhere to the regulatory guideline. So naturally, to stay into this competitive world, okay, the business and economic environment requires a new strategy, right? So obviously we'll have to follow that new strategy, and now the 2 years before, we were not sure that it will take another 2 years or something like that. Earlier it was every business was thinking that within a 6 months or something like that, or within a 3-4 months, we will have to go into the normal scenario. But now it's a new normal. The terminology itself we have changed. It's a new normal, or it's a hybrid kind of. So there are challenges in banking industry to shift their own critical applications, or wherever there is a like a data privacy, data security concerns are there. However, gradually or slowly, we are moving some of the non-critical applications into the private clouds or the hybrid cloud.
Okay, so thank you. So at this point, I turn to Tirtha. Tirtha, you are there, right? Yeah. See, I think
Yes.
this is coming again and again. Last day before yesterday also this came up, and in our other conversations that we do with banking industry, this is the typical thing that we hear. We all do realize, the value of cloud. We some have invested in private cloud, and some have this are trying to test the water through moving smaller applications. So what's you being in India, the banking regulation, what RBI does. So what is a very practical approach or journey or step to take this with the where you can kind of de-risk, you can probably plan over a period, but you are on a definite journey rather than keep asking the question again and again.
All right, great question, Mr. Das. Thank you for putting this across to me. And good afternoon, everyone in the panelists, all the customers, and my colleague Jitu and Andy from VMware. So fundamentally, Das, I will answer the question from the customer point of view, what the customer expects. And if the customer here today, whether it's a banking customer, BFSI, or a manufacturing, the thought process differs a little bit in terms of the customer requirement at the ask, but the approach that the customer looks at from a service provider like Sify or anyone else is the same. Okay, so here so today, predominantly this has seen in the trend since last 2.5 years, is when we engage with the customer, we take a position of cloud advocacy. We come across as a service provider and tell the customer that we can do a complete discovery and an assessment, and the kind of experience that we have in the BFSI domain in particular. Okay, there are businesses of various banks, insurance companies, regulatory bodies that are being run by Sify. Okay, without naming any particular customer here. Okay, but these are all large customers, and we are not only managing their network but also the cloud, their journey towards cloud, and their journey towards entire digital transformation. But having said that, what the customers are doing today, particularly the banks, see, the core is still in the on-prem or in a hosted environment. Okay, the core or banking or the core insurance is still not going to the cloud, but the innovation which is happening outside the core, which is like data lakes, analytics, AI, ML, chatbots, all those applications at the periphery level surrounding the core, whether it's a core banking or a core insurance, that is moving to the hyperscale cloud provider or a private cloud. So our approach with the customer has been very simple, that we do a complete discovery and an assessment of the infrastructure and application, and tell the customer based on their regulatory guidance, and it differs from customer to customer. Some of the customers get regulated by RBI, some of the customer gets regulated by IRDA, some of the customers have SEBI. So it differs, the regulatory criteria and the compliance. But because of our diversified exposure and experience across the length and breadth of the BFSI, we bringing those know-how and knowledge to the customers and customize their entire journey towards cloud. And that is where our cloud at core strategy comes in, where we tell the customer a very simple thing. What can move to cloud should go to cloud. What cannot move to cloud should rest in a cloud adjacent data center. Now, this is a word which is being coinaged by Sify and Gartner together, the cloud adjacent data center, which brings the customer closer to the hyperscalers the moment any customers come to Sify data center. And all our Sify data centers are cloud adjacent data center in terms of the infrastructure that the customer get, in terms of the high frequency network, the low latency requirement that they would have to connect to a hyperscalers. Jeetu, my colleague, spoke about the multi-cloud management fabric. It's a platform which it's a nexus, I would say, which drives a journey of any customer towards a hybrid multi-cloud environment. Say if a customer wants to connect, he's on AWS and he wants a tunnel, he wants a network between AWS and Google, because applications need to talk to each other. An application which is running in Google Cloud or VMware Cloud or an AWS Cloud need to talk to each other between two availability zones. How do you make it happen? We established a VPN tunnel using our multi-cloud management fabric. So such kind of innovation we have done because of our leadership position in the industry around the private and public cloud. And we are seeing increasingly the customers are looking at a hybrid approach. Okay, they are not moving everything to cloud, but some of the things, some of the applications which needs agility, flexibility, which needs a much richer experience to their customers, they are definitely moving those applications to cloud. But at the same time, there are certain applications which are still resting either on an on-prem captive data center or in a hosted environment, whichever be the case. And we as a service provider, we are seeing a trend increasingly towards adoption of hybrid multi-cloud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tirtha. And see, as we are in, we have IT leaders from other industries, but we will move to them. Mr. Venkatraman Subramaniam is there. Mr. Hetal Preswala is there. But before we move to them, let me, while we are on this, let me ask this question to Rajesh Sethi. Rajesh, you are there?
Yeah, I'm very much there.
Yeah. So one of the things and which we wanted to discuss in our last discussion also, but somehow couldn't touch because the discussion moved on. one of the things in your industry specifically is that whether it is directly from you or whether it is through distributors, the consumers have moved predominantly to digital, at least in the large cities, urban areas, for all aspects of interaction with whether it is buying to claims to anything. So so there is, with digital product, with this surge in demand, so the customer experience also has to be managed. So what is the role that cloud plays there, and how do you, and what are your specific challenges, and how do you kind of ensure that this customer experience is uh, maintained or enhanced?
Yeah. Thanks for the question. Somehow I believe the COVID pandemic has somehow played a role of a catalyst over here in expediting the digital acceptance and people accepting digital technology. So earlier, if you see, it was more or less, a predominantly on-prem data center servers that we had. Seeing applications were web-based applications. Over the period, what has happened is, although there were digital initiatives earlier as well, but the acceptance of the users, or probably the sales force was not that predominant as it was during the COVID period. So that's where our last 2 years, I believe digital has taken a new role to play, where we see the resilience, the availability and all that matters, and the time to execute or the upscale and all that are really something which needs to be available for the end users. So given this scenario, I would have here where we had all paperwork, our vendors, like today everything is being planned at a digital level. So everything moves in digitally, be it data or be it any supportings for their health records or everything. So everything gets digital before it hits the server. And today, what is being looked at is providing the policies within a certain time frame of within 24. All evidences that are required for issuing a policy are available from the customer. So that's something which is more important, and that's where cloud plays an important role in expediting this entire process. So I think, yeah, I would give all this credits to the pandemic that we had. Yeah, they will enablement of end users or customers, as you would say.
Yeah, yes, that's, see, it is not just about processes and efficiency internally, but it's also about customer demand. And so let me turn to Mr. Thank you, Rajesh. Let me turn to Mr. Venkatraman Subramanian. So yours is a very different industry than what we have been discussing for the last 15-20 minutes. But then cloud is all pervasive. So what is your cloud setup now, and what are the plans, and what is the strategy? What has been your movement path? And if you use multi-cloud, you can talk about that as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Das, for providing me this opportunity. Yeah, I think ours is a very different industry. You said it right. Basically, our core is steel, right? So we traditionally, and our core business has been steel. We have added other businesses as well. So we have, our group consists of steel, cement, there is energy, there is paints which has got added, and ports. And interestingly, I think the culture, being a hardcore manufacturing industry, I think culture also plays an important role. So I think culture has been traditional, or rather was traditional, right, so far. And if you look at some of the past 4 or 5 years, going back in time, um, there was resistance to move to cloud for obvious reasons, like security, data security was a concern, and then how will where will data reside, and what if we lose data, sensitive data, and so on. I think the pandemic in a way helped that some of these fears and apprehensions uh, has been kind of eliminated, I would say, at a very rapid pace. And even prior to that, I think there was a realization that looking at the way the group has grown, right? Because we have seen phenomenal growth over the last 4 or 5 years as a group, and all our businesses have been growing at a very rapid pace, right? So there was a need felt always to kind of consolidate, get away from your traditional way of doing infra to more of a data center concept, and also moving away from hosting applications on-prem to have more of on-cloud solutions, right? So it was very obvious that if we have to support this kind of scale of business and a large volume of users, it cannot be on-prem solution, right? So the need for standardized solutions, best practices, ready to deploy solution, and kind of plug and play kind of solutions came into the picture. And this journey started about 3-4 years back. And specific areas like procurement, customer focused areas, and also logistics, there has been a massive requirement or demand for cloud-based solutions. I think the reasons are very straightforward, I would say, right? The reasons being these solutions are easy to deploy. The turnaround time is faster. Our group is very impatient, right? No, businesses, they don't like solutions taking a long time for deployment. So the turnaround time has to be quick. Obviously, you would also see adoption coming in as you mature in the solution. Adoption does not happen overnight, right? It's a process. The change management has to kick in, happens over a period of time. So and then cloud gives that flexibility to keep adding users. There are constructs that you can do in a cloud-based solution, which traditionally on-prem you don't have that flexibility. So what we have done is we have chosen an hybrid model. There are certain core applications, as some of the other speakers were saying. There are certain core applications like manufacturing applications which are on-prem for various reasons. But the ready-to-deploy solutions, customer-facing solutions, or procurement solutions, or certain data-related solutions, logistics solutions, are the plan is to move towards the cloud, right? And like it has happened in many other industries, with the push for digitalization, I think the demand, what do you say, the interest in cloud has only increased, right? And in fact, in certain areas, my experience has been some of these products that the recent products, the new products, some of the product offerings that are there in the market, they don't even offer on-prem solution. So in a way, you are kind of constrained to look at only cloud solution, but that is fine. I think we really don't want to get into too much of maintenance. Too much. We don't want to get too much on the maintenance side. I have people taking care of maintenance and all those things. So that the cloud-based solution kind of perfectly sits into the kind of scenario or the situation that we have. So with all the flexibility that we are seeing, just to summarize, and the kind of offerings we are seeing, plus the business demand to kind of to scale up in a very fast-paced manner, I think that's where we see a lot of these cloud solutions being very helpful. And when we talk about end-to-end processes, business processes, kind of designing digital solution which gives end-to-end kind of a comfort to the user, I think cloud will have a large role to play, and that's the path we have taken. So it's hybrid for now, But I think over a period of time, probably the composition of cloud SaaS-based services is likely to go up.
Okay, so thanks a lot. Okay, so Andy, a simple question to you is that you're there, right? In the APAC region, so we have the large manufacturing countries, and of course the services. We have a representation from both. So what have you seen? See these challenges and these opportunities and these typical dilemmas, I think must be common, right? And different since different countries, different markets have at different stages of their market maturity. So you must have seen all of these in various ways in the region. So what are your learnings from there, and based on that, what do you think some of the things that India uh, could look at?
Sure. Thank you. I am fortunate to be able to talk to a number of customers across the Asia Pac region. And as you said, different countries and customers are at different maturity curve on their cloud journey. Majority of customers, there's some very common themes like at what is being discussed. Regulated workloads need to stay on-prem. There's a key hybrid model. The multi-cloud adoption is on the rise. Most of 75% of businesses are adopting 2 or more clouds. One of the key challenge looking at the clouds is that customers look at just start by looking at the benefits of cloud, the agility, the cost, the ability to bring down the cost, respond to the needs of the business at a faster rate, and set pretty lofty goals. But what I see across the region is they run into challenges to achieve those goals. I'll give you one specific example. There's a large insurance company in Australia, which is a pretty mature market from a cloud adoption perspective. Their board told them, look, you're not in the business of running data centers. You need to optimize and figure out how do you get most of your business to the cloud, right? And they went on this gung-ho journey. They realized they have about 200, 250 to 300 apps. They realized after 18 months, they had only migrated about 40 apps to the cloud, right? And they had and those were the low-hanging fruits. And that was a huge pain point, that they were not able to migrate things fast enough, right? All the skills that they have built with applications on-prem, the run books, the capabilities of people, being able to take them to the cloud is not an easy part. And this is where a joint offering with what VMware brings to the table, along with Sify in India, being able to take what is these enterprise workloads that are already running on the cloud, on-prem, being able to take them as is into your respective cloud of choice plays a big role, right? So just coming back to that insurance customer, struggling after 18 months with just 40 apps, they moved to VMware Cloud on AWS as a specific solution. And in 7 months, they've vacated 7 data centers, right? That's an amazing journey. Now, that's something that we are beginning to see with our customers, joint customers with Sify in India as well, is being able to, just coming back to that core story, the framework, the operating model, the skills that you have built on-prem, is you do not have to give that up. You can take those to the cloud, whether it's an hybrid model or it's a multi-cloud model, right? So really excited that that working with Sify, that we can bring those capabilities for customers in India as well.
Andy, but one thing there, so we don't have IT leaders from such industries, but we see when we talk of these online various services providers, when we talk to them, one of the things is that the movement to public cloud, and many of them are now bringing it back. Okay, So it is a two-way thing, and it is a two-way thing, and they are acquiring, and so multi-cloud, even if they don't plan, it is coming by default, and they are discovering that some of those things are good. So if you acquired company, some application is great, they try to take it organization wide, and those things will keep happening. And in some of these industries also that will happen. It is a matter of time. So so to be able to manage that, multi-cloud, hybrid, moving from one cloud to another, one public cloud to another, uh, moving one application or a certain set of applications from public to your own private cloud, certain others from private to public cloud, legacy to private or legacy to directly public, whatever. Okay. So all those things require tremendous amount of flexibility. In fact, in our last discussion also, flexibility was the word that occurred throughout everyone. So and it is not just somehow going to the cloud and things will get sorted out forever. No, it doesn't happen that way. So it will continue. So what are some of the lessons from there, when these kind of things you have seen, maybe not so relevant for certain manufacturing industries yet, but it is a matter of time.
Yeah, so I think the key word is flexibility and lock-in, right? Is you don't want to get locked into one particular cloud. Like you said, many customers realize for their scale applications, the on-prem is the best way to go, right? But you do not know that. You don't you want to be able to test, and cloud is awesome for being able to test something new, for being able to innovate and try something new. But once you know you want to scale it, you do not want to be just locked in, because the cost can go out of hand, right? Whether you call it cost optimization or cost control. And you want to have the flexibility to move without being locked in, and continuing to take your operational processes, your skills back and forth, right? Cloud is not the answer for every question or every problem, but it's a very important tool in your kit that you should be exploring. So bang on. I think you asked the right question, which is having the ability to have flexibility without giving up control, the ability to be agile from an application perspective, at the same time giving you the stability of the underlying platform. These things go hand in hand, right? And that's one of the very key things, that the way VMware has architected the multi-cloud vision is being able to service the customers. 85% of enterprise workloads run on VMware today, and being able to take exactly the same set to the cloud of your choice without being able to make those changes. And later on, if you do need to bring them back or move to another cloud, you should be able to seamlessly do it. Um, and this requires a joint approach, working with the customer and a strong partner.
Thank you. So let me turn to Hetal Preswala and take, you are there, Hetal?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So we'll get into a completely different aspect, since the security. Okay. See, earlier it used to be like cloud is so the concern is if I move to cloud, there will be security challenge, and then we swung to the opposite. Yes, there are these examples that you keep your uh, jewelry safe in a bank, so cloud is safer. So it is not really. Those are the good things to talk about, convincing people when they are learning about the basics. But the fact is that in a hybrid, in a multi-cloud, mm, I don't think anyone who has gone to cloud is completely on private or completely on public. So you need visibility, you need to manage, and from a security point of view, apart from manageability, from a security point of view, that's very important. So what are some of the challenges, some of the real challenges? It is not just about, as I said, is that, cloud is safer or on-prem is safer. It is, you have to move and you have to manage security across your entire infrastructure. So what are some of the challenges, Heather?
Thanks for giving me the platform to talk about. So you have asked the question about the moving the infrastructure to cloud and keeping the infrastructure in the on-prem. What are the challenges for both of them, right?
Basically, from a security perspective, yeah.
Perspective, yeah. So if you look at it from, if you are in the cloud or if you are on the on-prem, both the places, the issues are remain same, right? So as the internet has come up, right, and we started, deploying the application on the net, probably maybe a web application or whichever kind of application, right? Today, if you look at it, IRCT or any banking application, right, you can able to do the banking, mobile banking, internet banking, all of that. So what does that mean? You're already on the cloud. It doesn't matter, it might be just going out of the peripheral device, your peripheral meters, right? So any applications being accessed on the internet is the cloud, right? It's not that I'm going to AWS or I may get to Sify, I may get to next gen, or I may get to go to the whichever the data center provider, right? So any applications moving into the internet is the cloud. Now all of the cloud, wherever the application, what you need to look at it, all these traffic which is coming to your applications, ensure that those are the compliant ones. So any type of your bank, if you look at it from bank perspective, then you should look at it the PCI DSS, GDPR, or ISO 27001, NIST, all the defined controls are being met or not, SOC 1 compliance, SOC 2 compliance, all of them you will have to ensure that these applications are been control in the control environment, right? So from my perspective, any applications, the challenge remains same, whether it is on a AWS or maybe on-prem. The only problem why people are not going to the cloud is the fear. And that's a fear, and the cultural change is really important. The objective is to moving into the cloud, maybe at the AWS or whichever kind of it. You need to have a kind of check and balance. Whatever you are deploying it, whether the configurations or maybe the compliance are set properly, do the regular audit, right? And then basis of that, you should adopt it.
Okay, thank you, Atal. So anyone?
Just to add on that, what Atal said.
Yeah.
We know that this cloud, global cloud adoption is expanding rapidly, and we have seen that during this pandemic. So while all cloud environments are scalable, provide high availability, and are less costly than on-site servers, the success or failure of cloud migration will be determined by your cloud strategy. So your own cloud strategy is very important, and I can give you an example. When we talk about hybrid cloud and we are concerned about security, you can have a customized strategy where the most security focused workloads you can keep in a private cloud, while running regular business data and applications in cost-effective public cloud network. So this type of strategy can also broadly help you to have better transparency and control. I just wanted to highlight this point.
Absolutely. So, Tirtho.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had some interesting points which came up. Of course, flexibility is key. That has been repeated by almost everyone. So Hetal talked about there is a fear, okay, and that fear could be of anything. See, one is of course the typical fear. I don't think that is there too much, that security today, but yes, now people are talking about I don't know my cost, while it looks fine on paper, so I don't know how much I'll consume. I don't know. So and especially it becomes even more complex when it is multi-cloud. And so is there a way to kind of allay those fears, kind of respond to those fears? How can I know what I am using? How can I have a complete visibility of how can it not go out of hand? So some of those fears need to be addressed at different stages, maybe in the very beginning or maybe somewhere along the journey. Sometimes it might be a very pan-Gaussian view and everything will be all right, and suddenly you discover that no, the cost have come up, and then suddenly you're swing to the other extreme. No, this is my experience. I've heard those comments. No, it sounds very nice, but actually I've seen it is, and
Hello,
that is
I'm losing your network, I guess. I lost you.
Okay. So what I was saying is,
or is it at my end the problem, or I don't know?
I think the problem is from your side, because we are very loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay. So let me summarize. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So while he talked about fear, and one of the fears, and sometimes it is not even a fear. People go with to reduce cost, and some along the journey they discover that the cost has actually gone up because they don't know what they are using, and they don't have visibility. They don't have control. Okay, and then the same people come and talk about no, it is not as good as it is, tough. So how do you address those fears, address those, and they are real fears. It is not that they are yeah. So
okay, very good question. Thank you for this, Mr. Das. So I think the way we approach is fundamentally, before I said that, in 2016-17, I have seen customers. This is 2022, and we lived a pandemic of 2.5 years. In 16-17, I have seen customers, without naming any public cloud, they went to a public cloud and lock, stock, and barrel. And after a year, they came everything back to on-prem. And this is there are two e-commerce companies in India where I have seen that trend, and I was in the journey of selling the technology and infrastructure design built from a captive on-prem data center perspective in the organization where I was representing at that point of time. But this is a very trend which has caught up over these years, because as the customer, so you see, there are two types of customers. One is completely they want to move applications to public cloud or private cloud, and this other type of customers is they are not completely moving to cloud. They would be on a hybrid journey. There would be certain application on-prem, but there would be certain application, as I said previously, which needs more agility or flexibility. It will go to the public cloud. But what we have done as Sify, as a service provider, we define this as day one and day two. When a customer, be it bank or insurance or manufacturing, when we do their discovery and assessment of their infrastructure and application and help the customer to move application to a private or a public cloud, at the same time, the day two also, we handle the customer. Post the day one is over in terms of moving applications to cloud, okay, and delivering managed services around the infrastructure as a service, or delivering managed services around platform as a service or SaaS-based platform, we also handle the customer on a day two. Now, what is day two? The day two is about the customer wants to run FinOps. They want to do cost optimization. They want to build a predictability of the data transfer out cost, which is unpredictable in most of the public cloud model, that they don't know end of the month what is going to be the bill. Okay, so they want to create a cost predictability on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. They also want to run security ops. So across FinOps, security ops, cost predictability, Sify has built a platform which is called Sify Value Chain, which today increasingly the customers, we are at the POC stage, at the production stage in terms of rolling out to many customers from a day two solution construct, which also delivers DevOps as well as FinOps and security ops and predictability. Okay, and predictability from a cost optimization perspective. So that is the journey which we are seeing increasingly. A lot of customers are adopting who are mature cloud customers, okay, and who have already traveled the journey in a hybrid environment. But at the same time, they want to ensure that there is a predictability and there is an optimization on the architecture, and the partner needs to be a very skilled cloud service partner, okay, who can deliver this job. That is one. Second is we are also deploying a lot of solutions around multi-cloud security. Okay, multi-cloud security around web application firewall, around securing the data on the edge. At the same time, ensuring that ransomware attacks or cyber attacks, cybersecurity solutions, all those are part of the solution construct from a multi-cloud security architecture discussion, which we are having with many customers, increasingly in the BFSI, and the trend is also catching up in the manufacturing and retail space as well.
Okay, thank you. So, since we are running out of time, Sanjay, Rajesh, any comment that you want to make before I close it? Okay. So, and is Jitu there now? So, so I think we have come to the end of the discussion. Some really nice points came in the discussion. Thanks for addressing them, and thanks all the participants for joining and taking time off and joining and making this a very lively discussion. Thank you.